You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Ladies and gents, this is Kevin Kierstead, host of Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. I hope you're enjoying the show. Truth on Tap is focused on bringing you absolute truth about everything from mainstream media to comedy, from psychology to the paranormal. This show keeps it real, not the fake kind of real, the real kind of real. That same spirit also covers our Caps on Tap show about the Washington Capitals. Caps on Tap shows air only after Capitals wins at this time. Please come like our Facebook page and join the conversation at facebook.com/Truth on Tap show. Truth on Tap has been picked up and promoted by iHeartRadio, the internet audio mega monster, so shows are available there as well as on Spreaker and a limited selection on iTunes. To get in on a show's chat, you can chat from the Facebook page I mentioned or go to www.spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap and look for the live episode or call in at 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. Thanks again for checking out Truth on Tap and Caps on Tap. And there it is, folks. It is 10 o'clock p.m. on 9/3/2014. This is going to be a highlight show, so I have foregone the intro. I have a special new intro for you this evening, as well as the old intro that'll play after that. It's a bit of a celebratory episode, but it's also random clips of the better parts of shows that I found. And at the end is the entire episode of Round 8 versus Alex Jones, which was probably of the 9 shows I did against him was in the top 2 for sure. I have Round 1, Round 8, and Round 9 were all very good. Round 4 was good too, but I have to rate Round 8 right at the top. So we talk about some important things there, and there's going to be a little bit of Bill Dean, the CIA guy that exposed the CIA for what they did in basically hiring felons to go do CIA ops overseas and then let them come back and basically have a law pass, a get-out-of-jail-free card back in the U.S. Not a cool deal there. He wrote a book. Some of that will be in this show. So what I did is I got everything, I was taking all these clips and I was trying to learn Audacity and chopping them up and linking them together, and it is not a professional production, but it's the best I could do for right now. And for that reason, I ask for your grace in accepting my lack of audio editing skills. I did normalize everything, so you shouldn't get any major audio surprises like right now with my fan in my studio blowing on me, which is causing noise interference that you won't hear throughout the show. Anyway, this is all recorded already. So the live portion of this is just about to end. I'm about to check out. But I will be in the chat room so we can talk about what you're hearing or whatever. Or I may just leave and go ghost hunting. I don't know what I'm going to do tonight. Since that is that, and that is that, then here goes this.
On Tap is now flowing from iHeartRadio. Get your Kierstead fix by Googling Truth on Tap with Kevin A. Kierstead. All the truth you can handle running hot on iHeart, Facebook, Spreaker, and more. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth on Tap. You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Opening up the truth pipeline for these bitches. Everyone wants to call it
Truth on Tap. Truth. Truth on Tap.
You have to understand, when you come to Spreaker or iHeart, we don't have bosses. We do what we want here. And you should appreciate that freedom. It's not scripted. For a lot of us, we don't even take notes. We just go. You're getting some real shit here, folks. If people lie, they will stumble over their own lies. And truth is something we're going to talk about tonight. But God damn it, man. It's going to happen. What is truth? Seems to me, as I look out on the internet, even looking at some of these Spreaker groups that are for radio hosts and other Spreaker hosts and things like that, that they say they're telling the truth. They claim to be committed to the truth. Is that true, though? Are we agreeing on the definition of truth? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Here's how we're going to start the show off. I'm going to pull up the Webster's definition of truth. And I'm going to tell you if this truth that I claim I've been telling you all this time is the Webster's definition of truth. So let's do it. Truth, according to Merriam-Webster.com, is the real facts about something, the things that are true. Other definitions? Fidelity, constancy, the state of being the case, the body of real things, events, and facts, a transcendent, fundamental, or spiritual reality, a judgment, proposition, or idea that is true or accepted as true, the body of true statements and propositions, the property as of a statement of being in accord with fact or reality, fidelity to an original or to a standard. Can we agree on that then? I think we can. So when you come and tell me that Obama is the worst president ever, give me your evidence. I'll believe you. All you got to do is just give me the evidence. I want you to compare them. Compare them to James K. Polk. Have you done that? I want you to compare them to James Madison. Have you done that? No? Well, okay, just compare him to somebody more recent, Jimmy Carter. Have you done that? You haven't? But wait, you're telling me he's the worst president ever. I would assume you had to look at all the previous presidents and know their list of accomplishments and failures before you could say that. But you haven't. Therefore, you're full of shit. You don't have a fact problem. You don't have a policy problem. You don't have a belief problem. You have a hate problem. Barco says, Kay, I've banned everyone from listening to your show because you're an apologist for the fascist crypto-capitalist regime. Oh, I don't know what that means, really. Bastard, FC Barco. Don't apologize for any mistakes that or his administration have made. What I do is call out the human behaviors that people think they're getting away with, but I threw it. I know why people are attacking Benghazi. I know why people are flipping the fuck out Benghazi. 4 people died in Benghazi. 4 people that took a known danger and a hostile part of the world. 60 died in the attacks under the Bush years, but you're not hearing about it. So don't tell me you're fair if you're freaking the fuck out about Benghazi, but you had nothing to say about the embassy attacks that got people killed during Bush's years. Don't tell me that. You can't be fair and be of that mindset. You can't be. Hate both of them if you're going to hate. How dare George Bush let 68 die under his watch when he could have beefed up embassy security? I can see somebody coming in unbalanced from a mile away. Unbalanced. Every president in our history has made mistakes, and every president in our history has had something good to offer. I have lost and or warded off a great many listeners because I am fair to both the current administration and the last administration, and just about all of America hates one or the other. So if they've got that emotional connection to the last administration or this one, they don't like me. The ones that do like me have been able to either put aside their emotional connection and face and in the way so that they can get some logic and fact and deal with it rationally, or they never had the real emotional connection. They just want to hear the truth. Like I said, I'm seeing a lot of truth networks out there that aren't telling the Webster's definition of truths. They're calling themselves truth networks, but they're not really spitting out a lot of truth. They're spitting out hate, vicious hate. And then as soon as I present any evidence to the contrary to show what any given president has done well, immediately you get the straw man. So they're gonna attack me. They're going to attack the sources, say the sources are not legitimate. I even had somebody today attack the website because it wasn't a .org, it was a .com. Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I could have written a paper about what would happen if I did that. And that's why I don't get into those discussions, because once I sense that you have an emotional connection and that I can't debate with you intellectually on given topics, I vacate the debate. Because I can't. What progress could I possibly make with you? I'm probably going to reinforce your position. Because what you do, and a lot of you guys do this too, you know it, you go around and look for facts to support your beliefs. I don't. I go around and look for facts that support truth, and that may change my beliefs. In my view, that is what the super intelligent person does. And I'm not saying I'm super intelligent, but I'm trying to become super intelligent, and I think the best way to do that is look for evidence for your beliefs. Insist upon it. Let the other stuff fall away. Re-examine everything you have in your head right now. You want to be intelligent? Start. It's never too late. Re-examine all of it. Put a question mark beside everything. Be willing to say, I may have been wrong about this. I don't know for sure about that. That's what's going to make you more intelligent. You're going to go back and restructure your beliefs based on fact. I'm not telling you what the facts are. You go find your facts. But I guarantee you that 95% of you are going to have a whole new belief system if you go base it on fact. Or Alex Jones. It may have been Alex Jones that said, well, on Michelle Obama's shoulders, you could fit 3 heads. He said, on a man's shoulders, you could fit 3 heads. On a woman's shoulders, you can fit 2 heads. That's just scientific fact. And right there, you've lost me, man. Forget that you're saying you think Michelle used to be a man. When you're using how many heads you can fit on shoulders to decide who's a man and who's a woman, well, you've lost me. Because that's not scientific fact, Alex. In fact, I don't think you know facts from fiction, Alex. Give me your source. You want to stun Alex Jones? Ask him to give you his source. They've done cherry picking on various surveys to support their claim. They go looking for support for the claim rather than letting the support develop the claim. They already have a mindset. That's backwards, folks. Let the data create your claim. That's how you're going to be truthful. Blaming Obama for everything. Can I share this with you guys? I think I can. A poll of Louisiana Republicans released last week, and this was written on August 30th, 2013, so we're talking a year old, contains some strange news for President Barack Obama. 29% of Republicans polled in Louisiana said he was responsible for the poor response to Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Think about it. Think about it. This was slightly more than the 28%. Remember, 29% said Obama was responsible for the poor response to Katrina. This was slightly more than the 28% who said President George W. Bush was to blame. An additional 44% thought it over but just weren't sure. They weren't sure whether to blame Obama or Bush. 44%. This is a preposterous notion. Everybody knows Obama couldn't have been responsible for Katrina because, after all, he was in Indonesia in 2005 learning about his Muslim faith and madrasa. He had moved to Indonesia directly from his home country of Kenya, stopping in the United States just long enough to fake the moon landing. You know, I mean, I have no respect for you if you want to believe dumb shit like that to mask your hatred for the black man or to mask your hatred for the left. Whatever it is you don't like about them, have the balls to be honest about it. Because this shit isn't true. And you know what? If he was a Muslim, so the fuck what? Have you ever heard of the First Amendment? Go read that shit. I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing that research for you. You're only as American as you are close to your Constitution, in my view. And I can't tell you how many times I see somebody preaching about the Second Amendment while taking a shit on the First, or vice versa. Get that out of my face. You support the whole thing, or you do something to change it, or you shut the fuck up. That's what I say. Yeah, the 4 Americans that died in Benghazi was terrible, but what about the 68 Americans that died under Bush's watch in embassy attacks? Nobody's talking about them. That's the problem I have. I want reason. Reason. We've lost more Americans to choking on blue ink pen caps from BIC. Blue ink pen caps. Where's the outrage at BIC over blue ink pens? There is none. Selective outrage, my friends, is the term I'd like to leave you with tonight. Selective outrage. Look it up. Selective outrage is being mad over shit that one person does while not being mad at the same shit that another person does. A law was broken in Benghazi. If a law was broken with the IRS, if a law was broken regarding the gun running scandal, I think Congress should bring that person up on charges. Bring it up. Bring it up. go through the legal proceedings to get that person brought up on charges. And if they do that and the evidence is sufficient, he's going to jail. He's getting impeached. I think Congress has tried to rally something about Benghazi 63 times now, and 63 times it's turned out not to work. So I don't know. Maybe it's the law. Well, what do you? You're not making an argument there, Barco. What's your argument? You believe Obama is directly responsible for what happened in Benghazi. Answer that one for me. We'll just go through this step by step. Distract with big pen chokings? No, I'm just showing you that selective outrage is at work here. You want to hate Obama, so you'll hate him for not putting enough defense in to save 4 people's lives when you're not talking about Bush at all, who let 68 die under his watch. Do you want to go back more presidents than that? Because I can. Let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's talk about all the presidents you should be hating. July 1924, Tehran, Sublime State of Persia, an angry mob led by members of Muslim clergy, including many members of the Iranian army, beat Robert W. Ember, United States consul in Tehran, to death. The mob blamed America for poisoning a well. I'll skip 4 or 5 of them. 19 August 1974, Nicosia, Cyprus, riot outside embassy, ambassador and assistant shot by sniper. I've got more. Japanese Red Army gunmen raid embassy in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Do you hate Carter yet? 1979, Tehran, Iran hostage crisis. So tell me you hate Carter as much as Obama. I've got more. 1979, Islamist riots destroy embassy. Islamist riots destroy embassy in 1979, both in Libya and Pakistan. So do you hate Carter as much as Obama? April 1983, we're in the Reagan years. Beirut, Lebanon. Islamic Jihad car bomb destroys embassy. How about Kuwait? Kuwait City. Truck bomb outside embassy. Hezbollah car bomb outside embassy. 24 dead. 1984, do you hate Reagan? You should hate Reagan now more than Obama, because more people have died. You should hate Carter more than Obama, because more people died under his watch through not giving adequate defense to our nation's diplomatic outpost, if you will, than Obama. You should hate them more, do you? All right, let's get out of Reagan. Let's get into Clinton. Here we go. September 1995. RPG fired on embassy by unknown assailant. RPGs fired on embassy. Blah, blah. You know about the attacks in Kenya, and we had 213 dead then. Obama lost 4. So you must really despise Bill Clinton, do you? Do you? I'm waiting for your answer, Barco. How bad do you hate these previous presidents? See, this is what I'm talking about when I say use logic and reasoning in your thinking. So come on, tell me how bad Benghazi was. That's all I'm asking, folks. Use reason. Use reason in your beliefs and get away from emotion. Don't let somebody do what I just did to Barco and go into the past and show that it's silly to hate Obama for Benghazi unless you're going to hate all those other presidents for what they let happen. One thing I require on my show when people call in is that they remain cool, they don't resort to personal attacks, and they don't do what Goofy Bone does and just start yelling when they're losing like Bill O'Reilly likes to do. I insist that you be mature. You present your point, I present mine. If I'm taking too much time, you say, look, you're not giving me enough time, Kevin. I think you should give me more time. I will gladly give you 2 or 3 or 4 minutes uninterrupted for you to present your argument. We do this in a civilized manner on my show. No, I don't think my argument is flawed at all. Unless you hate those presidents equally or more for their failure to protect embassies, then your argument is flawed. So I'm sticking with that based on logic, reasoning, and what I know about that.
Truth on Tap is now flowing from iHeartRadio. Get your Kierstead fix by Googling Truth on Tap with Kevin A. Kierstead. All the truth you can handle running hot on iHeart, Facebook, Spreaker, and more. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth on Tap.
My name's going to be Ryan. I can remember that because one of my favorite movies is Saving Private Ryan. So I'll name myself Ryan. So I'm going to be in some Marine battalion here, and we're fighting with, we got an Al-Qaeda group. There's about 25 of us and 50 of them, and, well, it's getting started here. So let's go ahead and get it started. Yeah, you hear it. You hear it. Things are going on. Right? I'm down. I got a drink from my canteen. I'm ready to fight. Got my buddies beside me. Sarge is over there. Yeah. You hear Sarge over there. And then something happens. It's like I just got hit. I just got hit with a fragment of something in my head, and I've gone quite retarded. So now I'm stumbling around, and they're saying, get down. And I'm saying things like, hey, fuck your daddy. And then I'll say things like, have you seen my balls today? They're going to kill you, Kev. Or Ryan, they're going to kill you. No, I don't think they are. What's this coming? Oh, we have chopper support? We got another one coming in? Oh, that's fucking awesome, man. Shoot me, bitch. Shoot me. You can't shoot me. Come on, man. You're going to get hit, kid. You're going to get hit, Ryan. They keep saying you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. Then we get the one that the big one's coming. Oh, no. Yeah, they're doing the big one. So I look and I say, where's it going to land? I want to be where it lands. So I'm walking over to the Al-Qaeda guys now, and I begin to slap them. Hard with my shoe. I take my shoe off. I'm slapping them. They're shooting at me, but they're missing because I have some sort of aura around me that's protecting me. I don't know how. It's amazing, And then I get my senses, and I jump on the 50 cal, and I start fucking shit up. Yeah, I'm shooting everything now. I'm shooting it all. It's all gonna die now. And then, before you know it, I've got to throw a hand grenade. I just have to. So, here goes the pen. There goes the grenade. Damn. Let's throw another. Pen. Throw it. Yeah. Oh, there goes a leg. So I run out and get the leg, and I'm swinging it at the other Al-Qaedas. The Al-Qaedas are getting hit with the leg. So if it's a shot, I'm brave. You ready? I'm pressing call. Yeah, it seems to be working. Yeah, it is. Listen to this, folks.
Thank you for calling Saranga Comprehensive Psychiatry. Office of Vinay Saranga, child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist.
At the tone, please record your message. When you have...
Hi, my name is Kevin, and I'm looking for some mental help. I've never been diagnosed with anything, and I just need to find out if Dr. Vinay, I can't say his name, Vinay Saranga, Sarangvagina. I'm trying here. Bear with me because I'm a little confused right now. But what I want to know is he qualified to diagnose just about every disorder there is? Because I don't know exactly what I have. And can he prescribe drugs is one of my questions. I haven't been diagnosed with anything, like I said, that's why I need him to be qualified and all those things. And just to give you an idea, and you can see if he covers this type of thing, I'll give you a couple of my symptoms. I'm having trouble separating my own reality from the reality of my cats, for example. I get headaches, and then I keep thinking like a cat, and then I catch myself when I realize something like the cat food tastes terrible, or I can't fit into the litter box. I mean, this is just like once or twice a week I go through that. Also, I'm not always sure about dreaming. This is really messing with my head, because dreaming and being asleep, like yesterday, was it, or was it... It was Monday morning. I actually dreamt that I was awake and daydreaming, that I was having a nightmare while sleeping of being awake while having a nightmare that was a result of daydreaming. What the fuck? That can't be normal. I'm going to crawl out of my skin here. And when I came out of that, I was horrified, to be honest with you, but it wasn't over. Because I started to run from room to room. I was back in cat stage, run to room with no apparent plan, and I was attacking blankets and shoes and shit and chasing strings, and I started doing the sideways hop, doing the little, I call it the cat escape / attack pounce, but you can call it whatever you want. You can call it a sling blade if you want. It's okay. There's no official word. But the problem with that is I hurt myself. I sprained one ankle and my knee, I think, and my rectum and one hamstring, and I'm still very sore from all of that. So do you think he can help with these issues? Can I get diagnosed and probably helped with these? Because I just need to be confident before giving him all this information. I haven't even told you everything yet. Like, wait until you hear about what I do with snakes. It's I'm not even comfortable leaving this on your machine, but let me just say this. A snake can live inside of you for longer than you think, okay? It's quite terrifying. You can call me back at 910-434-1142. My name's Kevin, and I'm straight fucked in the head. I need help. Thank you.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kiersten.
The Big Show.
You're listening to Truth on Tap this evening, people. You're tuned in, you're phoning in, you're texting in.
Some say that
karma is a bitch.
The Big Show.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Okay, so last week I had to travel to San Jose.
This is my friend that stayed in a haunted hotel. If you think she was scared, wait until you hear what Bill Dean has to say tonight. We're going to redefine fear for you. Yeah. Scary shit going on in the United States of America and abroad. That is certain. You're listening to Truth on Tap. Your host, Kevin Kierstead. Tonight's special guest, Bill Dean, who is not only the author of many books, but who is also an investigative reporter and was a CBS News editor for 30 years. He's seen everything from the inside, and now he's talking about it. Let's bring him on here. Mr. Bill Dean, how are you doing this evening, sir?
Well, I'm great. It's great to be able to be with you and with your audience. I love to tell this story because the public needs to know to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
You were asking me my publicity agent because you're in Virginia. It's Purcellville. That's I've never been there, but that's her name is Sherry Frazier, and she's a hard worker, and we're getting a movie going on this thing now. But that's not the important story right now. The important story is that prisoners have been released out of jail in America to go overseas and do dangerous assignments that the CIA would rather not do themselves because maybe it's one chance in 10 of surviving. And where do they find these people? They find them in jails in the prisons of America, who just can't stand to be in jail. I can understand that. Although I've been in jail, but I was never sentenced. I've interviewed people, tons of them, so I know what it's like in there. And these people, and so the CIA is very, very open. They say this is very dangerous. But these guys are so cocky. They say I'll make the deal, and the deal is to go over there and blow up somebody or a building or whatever they're doing, and then they totally are free if they can make it back to the United States, and then they are totally free citizens, and their 20-year, 30-year sentence in prison has been overlooked, has been forgiven, and it doesn't take long to think about this. Wait a minute, these people, they were sentenced criminals, and now they're walking around here in America. Well, I mean, they could rob me, they could steal, and so forth. Well, when you get robbed and when you get when you lose something, when they've taken over your business or whatever, you go to the local police, and the local police are under directions not to get involved, because the program, according to the CIA, is too secretive. So you lose your house, you lose your money, you get beaten up, all these things. I've talked to 15 people. When I got 15 people that were victims of this, I said I have to report this.
Absolutely.
And, now I've contacted the Justice Department. I've asked them. One woman said, I'm scared to death that he's going to come back. I'm afraid in the middle of the night that he's going to crawl through my window. And I said, would you please just write, because they won't listen to me. I said, would you please just tell your story, how afraid you are of this ex-criminal? Would you please just write and say, I don't care if, I just need to know if he's dead or alive so I can sleep at night. And then they wrote back with the great apology, and they said, we can't even tell you that.
Oh, wow. Now, under what branch of the government are these criminals protected when they get back to the United States?
Well, it's the CIA working. Of course, the CIA doesn't get involved locally in the United States. That is the FBI, but the FBI and the CIA sometimes cooperate. Maybe they usually cooperate, but they have different purviews. The CIA works overseas, and the FBI works here.
Okay.
And, if the CIA was doing something, I mean, like going out here and arresting people and so forth, I think the FBI would really be irritated. I think if they want somebody arrested, they have to go to the FBI, and vice versa. But something that the FBI can follow somebody here, and then this guy takes off and goes to Brazil or something. Now you got a little problem, and you certainly have to cooperate with the CIA when that happens. It may be the FBI's case, and it may have led them overseas, but the FBI certainly has to tell the CIA, or they'll really be mad.
Yeah, and since 9/11, they've been talking a lot more.
Absolutely. If this country is aware at that time, they would have caught these guys, because it was very easy. Now it's a real problem, because all of those guys that blew up those planes, they were from overseas, and now you've got people like in the Boston bombings. I don't understand why we can't reenact. There was a law that had been written when we were really afraid of communists, and if you took a job, if you had a job, every job application in the country asked, "Are you a member of any party that calls for the violent overthrow of America?" And of course, the communists in the Soviet Union were about we had real threats there. So if you wanted to violently overthrow the United States government, you could be thrown in jail. Now, I don't understand why these people and a lot of these kids, teenagers and so forth, are watching, getting this stuff on the internet, about how to make a bomb and everything, and why that is allowed. I mean, I'm in favor of speech rights, but we do have rights to stand on a corner and speak, but we don't have a right to want to blow up something, and there ought to be a law when you got, and they ought to trace these people, and I think that would solve a lot of problems. These are homemade bomb makers. Yeah,
absolutely. And now we're jumping ahead here. I feel bad for bringing everybody into it, because we got to get to your book. Now, your book is a true story. It's based on a true story. Change some character names here and there to protect people and to protect yourself, I'm sure. Now, before we start on the book itself,
if anybody's just tuning in, we're talking about the CIA letting prisoners out of jail to do dangerous assignments overseas, who then, if they survive, come back and are citizens just like you and me, free to walk the streets.
Yeah, and your book is called Smooth Criminal.
You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Alex Jones and his ilk. We're going to talk about Edward Snowden. You are listening to Truth on Tap, Round 8 versus Alex Jones. That's going to be on global warming and more. That's going to be on Edward Snowden. It's going to be on advanced logic and reasoning and critical thinking skills. Your host, Kevin Kierstead. Who am I? If you're just turning in for the first time, I am just a guy. Veteran, U.S. Air Force. Was an average student in high school, excellent student in college when the money was coming out of my own pocket. Born in Indiana, quickly moved to Virginia as a young kid. Grew up with 4 sisters, and just an average American guy with an above-average appetite for destroying bullshit. It bothers me. It really gets under my skin when I see it floating around, touted as fact. Maybe something happened that I can't remember in my past. I can't recall anybody ever bullshitting me for some sort of loss or in a way that hurt me. Maybe it's just a cumulative effect. Maybe it's the fact that after 9/11 I was glued to Fox News for 2 years. But whatever the case was, when I got my education in order and actually started using my brain, I started to see through these thin veils that are paraded around as truth and seeing what was behind them. And it's a little disappointing, isn't it? It's a little disappointing when the kid sees Santa Claus taking off his outfit in the mall because he thinks nobody's watching as he walks toward the locker room to change. Well, that's what I saw. That's what I've seen. And the way I've done it is to employ critical thinking skills. Critical thinking, a term that I will use 200 trillion times on this show. You will be sick of it, but you will be happy that you have learned it from every angle you can possibly learn it. It is to employ logic and reasoning in all of your thinking. If you want to be accurate, there's always downtime. There's always silly time. When I'm not on this show, I walk away from the river of truth and I go sit under my shade tree, put on my rose-colored glasses. But while we're here, I set up my camp beside the absolute river of truth. There are philosophers in the past that believe there is no absolute truth. I think most do believe there's an absolute truth and that everything with us is just interpretation. I believe there is an absolute river of truth. I believe that if you were a simple recording device, you would record something, even if humans weren't here. That stuff you're recording, that's absolute truth. That's the stuff I'm talking about. If that's not absolute truth, well, that's what I'm using as absolute truth. Just so you don't have any questions about that. If you were nothing but a recording device, video, audio, temperatures, carbon levels, sea temperatures, sea level rises, everything, the expansion or contraction of space, gravity and its effects, all of that, if you could record all of that and spit it out on a piece of paper, that is the truth I'm talking about. That is the river of absolute truth that we are setting up our little camp beside for this show. And it gets under my skin, you know. So is this show going to be as exciting as an Alex Jones show? I don't think so, because conspiracy theories are pretty exciting. There's about 10% of them I actually believe need a good look. But about 90% of the shit on Alex Jones is going to try to sell you, it's nothing. He's like what I like to tell people is he's screwing you in the paranoia hole and then selling you the cure to the diseases he just gave you. Yeah. Get that visual, because it's a good one. It's a good one. It's an easy one to remember. It's what he does. I've always had a problem with people from Texas. Let me go ahead and say that. It's a big state, I know. Here's my problem, and this isn't anything to do with Alex Jones. I didn't even know he was from Texas until probably a few months after I started beating up on him. Alex Jones, people from Texas tend to, there are always exceptions when I stereotype, have this badge of honor about them just because of where they were born. First of all, do you see a problem with that? Because of where you were born, you're somebody? Oh, I'm from Texas. Oh, excuse me. If I had only known. Little old me, I'm from Michigan, you know. I was born in Indiana myself and grew up in Virginia. Lived in Colorado, lived in Alaska, lived in Vermont, lived in North Carolina. I'm not as special as you because you, sir, are from Texas. What the fuck does that even mean? What does that even mean? Don't mess with Texas? I'm messing with Texas right now. You feel it? Poke, prod. Yeah, my name's Kevin, and you can get in touch with me. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/truthontapshow, or you can call in 910-NO-LYING. That's 910-665-9464. If you call in here, have your facts straight, please. That's all I ask. And be comfortable on the radio. Have your facts straight and be comfortable on the radio. And we have to keep it moving. No slow motion shit. All I expect from you is what an average radio host would expect from you. Keep it moving. Keep the facts going. If you've got a conspiracy thing, give me the evidence. Give me the evidence and tell me and my listeners where we can find it. That's all I'm asking of you. I don't screen calls. There's no trickery here. There's no grand scheme against you. You're going to find that out as you listen to some of my episodes, because as I teach you how to think, illusions fall. Change is a bitch. Nobody wants change. Think about it for a second with me, okay? I learn things on my show. That's my treat to myself. I like to analogize it like this. What I do in this show is the analogy is I'm going out of the village. Way over in the mountain somewhere is a big-ass orange tree, and we don't have any fruit in town. So what I do, put it upon myself, I go out and gather the fruit. I sell the fruit for a very low price. I make enough money to pay my rent, pay my bills. But on the way home from gathering that fruit, I'm going to eat a couple pieces. Is that okay? I think it's fair. Is it fair? I'm selling it for a low price. I'm gathering it myself, so why shouldn't I be able to eat a couple pieces on the way home? Well, that's what I do with this show. I'll go online and I'll pull up a topic I'm not fully versed on and actually learn it with you. But I already know when I get a topic in my head, no matter which source I go to, if it's a reputable source, I have an idea where the outcome is going to be because I can apply the critical thinking before I even see all the details. It's really easy once you get to learn how to do it. Once you learn how to think critically, you're going to wonder how you ever survived before. You were nothing but a coat on a rack waiting to be worn by somebody. When you employ critical thinking, you're the beast. You're the fucking Yeti, brother, coming down off the mountain. Ain't nobody wearing you. No, sir. Nope. You'll know your shit. But you got to do some homework. That's the sucky part of it. It's not hard. It's fun, actually. Have you ever do you like crossword puzzles? You like CSI, stuff like that? You'll love logic puzzles. They're more fun than that. And logic puzzles will train your brain to think reasonably. Now, they do not include the part of critical thinking that gets deeper. They include the mathematical end of critical thinking. When it comes to psychology, I like to call behavioralism the math of psychology. It's right. It's right in what it does, but it doesn't answer the why and the how. It answers the what. This will cause that. That's what. I like to get into evolutionary psychology. That's the branch I like. I don't get into the cognitive and all that, or even the integral. I'm more of an evolutionary guy who will look to behavioralism to label a mental condition, but when it comes to humanity and our thinking, I'm going to evolutionary. I'm looking at how we've lived for the past 50 or 100,000 years. That's what I'm looking at. And how that's developed. So that's where we are right now. We're going to talk specifically tonight about climate change. I'm going to tell you right up front, and I'm going to prove it to you in a little while. The current climate change trend is real. It may not be caused by humans. I don't care. I don't care if it's caused by humans. What I do know is we have to do something about it. If you got September's issue of Scientific American Mind magazine, you'll know that conspiracy theories are killing us. Areas like global warming. It's killing us. It's killing us. Because people are biting onto them because it's easy. Oh, it's a scam. They're trying to get money out of us. Shit, I should have known, man. Why didn't somebody tell me that? Where's your evidence? Don't need it. It feels comfortable. It's easy. I don't have to reduce my carbon footprint now. What the fuck is that? I'll go out and fart on purpose now to put more methane in the air. Yeah, well, some farts are 10% methane, give or take. And in fact, those are the only ones you can light, by the way. I think it's only about 1 out of 10 people that can light their farts. Yeah, did you know that? I'm a science nerd. What am I going to do? So, going on with this critical thinking stuff, I have no idea where I was just now, so we're just going to keep going. We're going to talk a little bit about Edward Snowden. I am going to give you the website that will blast your fucking mind if you are a conspiracy theorist on global warming. You're going to hate this website. You're going to hate it, but it's going to get you to the truth. It's going to lead you there. It's got references. You don't have to trust in the website itself. Check its references. Always check your website's references if you want to know if you can believe in it. Once you get to the reference, you have to start employing critical thinking. What do you have to do? What is your motive, author? Are you selling me something? What's your history? Do you have a history of false claims? Where are you from? What do you do? How many other scientists or others agreed with you on this? What were their qualifications? Why are people arguing against it? Why are people arguing for it? What is the most likely reasonable outcome of me assessing your credibility once I process this through the old thinker? And you're going to start coming to these conclusions that are going to surprise you if you're a conspiracy theorist on this stuff. Global warming is real. We are not in a natural cycle right now. We're always in a natural cycle, but something else is going on. Now, if you want to say it's not man's fault, I'm not going to argue with that. I can't prove that. All the evidence suggests it, but I'm not going to try to prove that to you because you know what's important? Let's go ahead and pretend, if it makes you comfortable, that it's not man's fault. Maybe there's a giant crack in the earth in Africa hidden by the mantle of the jungle that's releasing methane into the air and killing us because of what it's doing with greenhouse gases and making the temperature rise, okay? Let's pretend it's that. Okay, so it's not humans' fault, but we still have to do something, right? This is where my care comes in. I want us to do something about it, because you're going to start looking around and you're going to start noticing bad shit happen, and it's going to come fast. And once the wave starts, it cannot stop. It is the salinity of the oceans dropping as the polar ice caps melt and the fresh water gets in there. That salinity dropping immediately affects the currents, their speed and movement, which will eventually bring them to a grinding halt. That is the machine that keeps Earth alive. Think of it as the circulatory system. It's not a perfect analogy, but it works. That stops, we stop. You got it? Yeah, everything goes from there. The food problem, the water problem, the weather problems. They come crashing down on you like you've never felt before. Climate refugees that will turn into wars for food and water, all are right there in our short to medium term future if we don't do something. Do something. And this isn't something you can think about. This isn't something you can throw money at. This is something you have to get involved in and understand. Okay? First thing I'm going to start with today is a mind fuck, because I like those. I come up with these on my own. I don't read these off of internet sites. I'm going to fuck with your head a little bit right now, and I'm telling you I'm doing it. And then I'm going to tell you why I did it. If you're a person who believes that global warming and the current thought behind mass media is that, yeah, you need to do something, here, pay us money, here, we're taxing you for this, and you think it's a scam because people at the top want to take your hard-earned money for something that doesn't exist, let me help you with something real quick. All right? I got one word for you. Fukushima. Fukushima is a real and present danger, is it not? There's radiation in the oceans, and they're picking up signs of it all the way over in California already. It's a big deal. But there aren't a lot of scientists freaking out about that yet. A scientist typically is more concerned right now with global warming than Fukushima. Now let me ask you this. If you were out to scam and make money, which tragedy would you choose to worry about more? If I want to sell you my snake oil, I'm going for Fukushima. Nobody questions Fukushima. Nobody questions the harmful power of leaking radioactive material. Nobody. I don't know a single crazy motherfucker that says radiation don't hurt nobody. Not a single one. I could sell you my snake oil. I could make mad motherfucking money off of it if I just told you, here's the cure to Fukushima. I'm going to protect you. I've got suits you can wear. I've got stuff you can sprinkle on your food. I've got liquid you can drink. Oh, there's liquid. Yeah, they make it. We actually use it when I was in the military. We had stuff we would have to drink for nuclear attacks. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff I could sell you. And I could make it out of fucking pine bark and pine needles, blend it in a blender, add some water, and tell you I'm saving your life. And you'd fucking buy it. Because Fukushima is a real and present danger. Where are they? Where are those scam artists? Where are they? Why isn't the government getting in on that? You think they just want to make money, right? That money is ripe for the taking right there, brother. Ripe for the taking. But nobody's showing up. Oh, the scam artists are learning. They're starting to learn that they can get some cash out of it here and there. But where's the big conspiracy? It's been over a year, right? Been a couple years now. Hey, well, you know, there's a lot of money to be made there. And these people that you say are out to get nothing but money and power don't seem to be talking too much about Fukushima. Why is it? Why are they more concerned about global warming? Because Fukushima, as disastrous as it is fixable. It's fixable in the same way Hiroshima and Nagasaki were fixable. Were they necessary? I think they were, given all the circumstances of the time. Fukushima, was it necessary? Of course not. It was a natural disaster that caused a man-made problem. But we don't want it to turn pandemic. It is still fixable. It's still fixable. Global warming is not fixable, folks. Once everything stops working, everybody dies. Do you get that? Maybe you don't understand that. We're going to use some websites that have done their research. I'm going to use greater minds than my own to bring you science. And that tends to be one of my habits, bringing you better minds than mine. You know, Dale Carnegie said something once like, I've always worked to make sure that the people around me were smarter than me. Well, I like to employ that tactic myself, and that's why I only use the greatest minds to reference you to and to model my own thinking after. Because everything else, Alex Jones, people like him, David Ikes, they want to fuck with you. They want to just, they want to instill fear in you and then tell you they've got the next thing to fix it. They've got a way to fight against it. They've got the inside news line that you're not going to get from mainstream media because it's secret. How is Alex Jones getting his hands on anything secret? Give me a fucking break. Have you actually applied critical thinking to Alex Jones? He'll crumble right before your eyes. He's a clown. Just a clown making money. That's all he's doing. You talk about snake oil. There's your snake oil right there. Try to make one of his claims stand up to fact and good, hard scrutiny. Won't work. So let's see. We're getting into this. Now, today, specifically, Alex Jones was attacking global warming and attacking those who spoke out against Edward Snowden. All right? So first, global warming. And I'm going to tell you later why Edward Snowden's a prick. I'm all for making things that were secret public if they help people. What Edward Snowden did was to directly harm America. Directly harm America. There are channels you can go through when you've seen information that is not to your liking, where you can get change without exposing all of America's secrets to the world. Every country in the world spies. The country on top probably spies more than the others. They've got a good information grasp. When you reveal exactly how they're spying and who they're spying on, tell me how that helps America. I want you to tell me on my Facebook page or whatever, call in, tell me how that helps America. What does it cause? It causes nothing but resentment toward America. And when you have resentment toward America, you have problems with trade. You have problems with immigration and emigration, one with an E and one with an I. You have problems with everything from tariffs to global to global cooperation on everything from terror investigations to environmental issues to business expansion to healthcare. Everything hurts because we need the rest of the world. You don't want to believe that, some of you, but we do. And if we fall, and no nation in the history of this world has stood indefinitely as the superpower, when we fall and we become less than number one, we're going to need help. I don't know about you, but I'd like to think my grandkids and their grandkids will have some good allies by their side when we do something dumb and finally implode from a financial meltdown or something, where they will help lift us back up. And you know why they would do something like that? It's because they remember how you behaved when you were in power. So you remember that. America can't do it alone. America is not a country that could win if the whole world turns on us. China alone could give us a run for our money, militarily. That's not talking about nuclear. I'm just talking about force numbers. You don't want that. You don't want a China and a Russia coming down on you. You got to try to get along with people. That doesn't mean kiss ass. That doesn't mean sell out. That doesn't mean agree with their politics. That means be who you are, but respect your fellow humans. Now, if there's a great, terrible thing going on, like a thing in Syria, I think we should have been in Syria. I honestly do, as soon as it broke out. Cannot have a government attacking people, women and children. You can't. You got to do something about that when you're the most powerful nation in the world. Now, some of my friends say, well, we should just light a fire under the UN's ass and get them to do it. Okay, I'm behind that. But we got to do something. How are we standing by, sitting in our houses, eating steak and mashed potatoes, while 10-year-olds are getting gang raped by Assad's regime in front of their mothers in Syria? How does that steak taste, man? I mean, do you just not want to know what's going on? Because if you're wearing blinders, this show can't help you. This show's going to hurt you if you like to wear blinders. If you're like me and you can turn it off after work, I can. I can turn it off and I go over under my shade tree and believe the world's beautiful. Go ahead and do that. But if you can't, you're not going to like this show because it's going to hurt. This show hurts me sometimes. You know, I've had people tell me, well, Kevin, and it's like something I wrote on the Facebook page today, maybe to exist is just enough. Isn't that it? I mean, an animal is born, he exists, he dies. Isn't that enough? Who said you have to do something more than that? Nobody. Nobody said you have to do anything more than that. There's no grand authority. We're animals. If you don't believe you're an animal, let somebody come hit one of your kids in the face while you're watching. You're an animal. You're an animal. You're an animal with a decent set of communication skills and thumbs. That's all you are. Well, we animals need to get smarter. And if you were to take the average human being, and it all applies to tonight's argument against Alex Jones, take your average human being and say, okay, here's an average human being's intelligence. Then you have the above average thinkers and the below average thinkers. But take your average and ask yourself this. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and take our above average thinkers. Let's take those in the 90th percentile of thinkers in the world, as measured by IQ test and memorization of facts, you know, because there can be any number of measures. Let's measure by that. So, you know, people that most people in the world would say, that's a smart motherfucker right there, okay? You know what I'm talking about. Take them and compare their knowledge. If you could see it all on paper, maybe it would be 800,000 pages of information, and compare that to all knowledge. Not all knowledge known, but all knowledge known and unknown. And if you use your imagination, you realize quickly that compared to all knowledge, that human, we haven't even gotten up to the 1% mark of knowledge available. We're really babes in the woods, aren't we? I'd like to kind of increase that pace a little bit if we could. I don't know if we're built for it. Maybe we're not. But I think we can handle it. So why don't we increase the pace of learning by doing smart thinking, using our constructs? Because if what you've got when you think is a bad construct, nothing getting in is going to be representative of reality. You might have traces of reality here and there, like in Alex Jones. He'll sprinkle in a few drops of truth for every 100 gallons of bullshit. But you're not getting the real thing. Don't you want the real thing? If you want the real thing, I'm telling you, forget the facts for a minute. Go over to the solid philosophers. Get into the math of logic. The solid thinking of reasoning, and reasoning well, used from Socratic thinking on up through Platonic thinking. And tell yourself, I'm going to build this construct, and all the information I take in the future must pass through this first. Because I don't have time to fuck around with stuff in my head that's not going to be factual. I want to be able to kick it out at the door, unless it's good info. Build yourself a good construct. That's all I'm asking you on this show. It's the only thing I'm asking you for. When you do, you will see, and I can promise you this, I'll put my word on it, that people like Alex Jones will crumble before you. You may have seen him before as some sort of light in the forest, somebody speaking up when everybody else was just being sheep. That's not what he is. He's telling you that's what he is, but that's not what he is. His light in the forest is nothing but another glowing crack pipe. That's what it is. That's what it is. You'll see that when you employ your construct. Put it out there before the information passes into your brain. Make sure you trust it first. I'm not trying to put some kind of funny decoder glasses in front of your head so you take in shit. I'm telling you, build the decoder glasses very carefully. Use only the greatest thinkers in our history. They were not part of the goddamn grand conspiracy. They're not part of the Illuminati. These are men who worked their entire lives to have an honorable reputation for thinking and figuring shit out. I should think you and I would benefit from their work. If we can, and we can, employ that work to build your construct, to build your magic decoder glasses, so that everything passes through them, and if it's shit, it falls before it even touches your brain. Yeah, it's got to get out of here. We don't have time for bullshit. All right, well, let's get to it. You want to argue against global warming? Let's see what you got. I'm sitting here looking at a website, and this is an incredibly interesting website. And hold on here, we might have somebody in chat. Let me just make sure you can get in on the chat too. I didn't tell you this yet, but the page is Spreaker.com/user/truth-on-tap. Go there, and you can find the chat in the lower right by the heart icon. It's got 3 little dots in it. You might have to register. If you haven't registered yet, they make you register, but you don't even have to verify your email. You can go on and sign in and chat. So I've typed in Kev is here, so you'll know. we're going to talk about global warming first. And I'm going to hit you with the kind of facts that you can't really argue against. And it's not going to be a fun time for conspiracy theorists here, because I've got about 40 different avenues of ass whooping I'm bringing at you. Forget the punches. That's just the avenues. We haven't even gotten onto the limousine yet. Yeah. So this is gonna be a wake up call for a lot of people. Global warming. The other thing we're going to be talking about, just to let you know, it's I've pulled up a Washington Post article from who wrote this? I can't remember. Oh, Ruth Marcus, July 18th, 2013. Edward Snowden is no hero. And of the articles that I've read, I've only read a few like this. He tends to touch on the things, that I care about, and including even mentioning Socrates in there. So we're going to get with that. Let's see. Just pulling up my sources here, because one of them disappeared on me, which is why I've been kind of winging this for a second. Oh, Lord. Yeah, we'll get it here. Don't worry about that. NASA's one site I'm going to be using. I already knew about that one, but there was another one that I wanted to bring up. It's going to be here somewhere. Veterans Day. Let's close that one. I was looking at Veterans Day specials because brothers like me need any kind of help they can get. And they have free meals and discounts and all kinds of good stuff going on for you vets out there. Let's see. We'll close that one for now. That's the global warming chart. NOAA. Yeah, that's the... Okay, this is ridiculous, man. Go to... This isn't the one I wanted to look at. I'm going to pull up another one, but go to NASA. Just Google it. Go to climate.nasa.gov/evidence. I mean, I love these guys' ability to consolidate. Would you say there's some pretty smart motherfuckers at NASA? You would? Okay. Funny thing. NASA is always in a bit of a funding jam. Well, for the most part, throughout history, since roughly 1940 or 1950, they've received about less than 1%, for the most part. Sometimes they went over 1%, but usually stayed under 2% of our global funding. Right around the time we landed on the moon, I think we hit, if I remember correctly, it was about 2.3% of our GDP, or I'm sorry, not our GDP, our budget, went toward NASA funding. Now it's like 0.5%. And it's just a ridiculously low amount of money, considering the danger of meteorites alone. I mean, you saw what happened in Russia. I'm not talking about one the size of 65 million years ago, but goddamn, we're due. So maybe it's worth taking a look at those rocks flying around. I don't know. But again, some of y'all will say that's another conspiracy, right? Yeah. Well, I can't help you if you think that. NASA, front motherfucking page, first graphic. This graph, based on the comparison of atmospheric samples contained in ice cores and more recent direct measurement, provides evidence that atmospheric CO2 has increased since the Industrial Revolution. Now, everybody's arguing about whether man has caused this or not. I don't care. My problem is if you don't even believe it's happening. Forget who caused it. We have to do something. Take a look at the chart. You look there, here it is. We go back 400,000 years. We've actually gone back millions of years with the core samples, but they're just going to go back 400,000 years, okay, through many ice ages. They're looking at the CO2 in parts per million. How do they know this? Well, CO2 particles, just like all other particles floating around in the air, get trapped in moisture, and they get trapped in the ice. And you can core sample for that. You can measure using carbon dating, the age of the ice, or you can use other methods, because each layer of ice, as you go back in years, has a separate look to it. So you can actually physically count the years of the seasons going by. So there's all kinds of ways they can measure the dates on these layers of ice. They get in there, and then they analyze the samples. And they get them from different spots, to be fair, so make sure you don't just have one that's acting funky over here in, southern part of southwestern Antarctica. Whatever. You have to get samples from various places, and they've done this, and they've put it all together, and here's what they're coming up with. Let's take a look at 400,000 years ago. 400,000 years ago. The CO2 parts per million was around 283 parts per million CO2. That's about the highest it got. It got higher about 325,000 years ago. It got all the way up to 300 parts per million. Okay? That was the highest it got. So, we see these natural trends up and down, going between 300 parts per million down to lows around 180 parts per million. Back up to 300 or 250, back down to around 180. Back up around 250, back down around 180. You see this going on? 350 to 300, 250 to 200, 150 to 100,000 years ago. 50,000 years ago, we were on the downside. Should have been coming back up. We are, as predicted, coming back up. But guess what happened? This time, instead of stopping in this last couple centuries at the 280 to 300 parts per million, we are at the highest levels we've ever been, at 400 parts per million. That is a 25% increase over anything we've ever seen in history, anything we can measure back against. Do you know what CO2 directly relates to? Temperature, greenhouse gases. And if you haven't read much about global warming, I'm asking you to do a little reading, because I know somebody close to me who said something like this. See if you can follow me here. I went outside on a June day, and it was only 54 degrees. And they say there's global warming. Okay, if you ever hear anybody say something like that, and you care about them, I've done the wrong thing here. I didn't do it. I care about them, but I didn't do it. Please get them a library book, anything that relates to science that can help them understand that that's not what we're talking about. You're going to find a cold day in June. It'll happen. Global warming's not going to hurt that. We're talking about a couple of degrees Celsius, folks, at the poles, a couple of degrees Celsius around the world. In general, world's temperature averaged over the course of a year. Does it mean you can't have a cold day in June? Does it mean you're going to have all hot days in December? Just a couple of degrees. It's a huge, huge difference. This is global temperatures. Current CO2 level up to almost 400 parts per million. Higher than anything we've ever seen. And this was as of July 2013. I got to recommend this page because we need people using their brains. I don't know how else to say it. I'm sorry, it upsets me when people just won't think. It's just the science, These are not people trying to scam you with getting money from you. It's ridiculous. They have the sea level rise. They have the global temperature rise. They have the warming oceans. They have the shrinking ice sheets, declining Arctic sea ice, glacial retreat, ocean acidification, extreme events. I could go on. Things are not as they were. Things are changing. There are references here to very reputable scientific organizations if NASA wasn't enough. You honestly think NASA... you conspiracy theorists think the moon landing was a conspiracy, right? Did you know you can go look at the footprints on the moon and the American flag? Did you know you can do that? Just go get a medium power telescope. They got some big ones now. Yeah, you can go look at it. Look at it in real time. But you're not going to do that, are you? Because it wouldn't fit your way of thinking. Evidence, it seems, is not important to everyone. That's a sad thing. That makes you incorrect in your beliefs. Do you want to be incorrect? Does it feel good? If it does, I can't help you. If you're treating it like a drug, conspiracy theories are fun, therefore I'm going to believe in them. Go ahead, man. There's your religion. I can't help you there. That's a matter of faith. But if you want fact, you really need to look somewhere else other than an Alex Jones or anybody like him. What a sad, sad thing, man. I just see these people calling other people sheep. That's the hilarious part. They are the sheep. They're being led by a dumbass, the blind leading the blind, and being taught to think that others who actually follow the facts are sheep. What a sad thing. What a crafty thing you've done, Alex Jones. What a crafty, crafty thing you've done. Get the people following you to believe that the lie is on the other side, that those people have taken the blue pill. They're still plugged in. Folks, I swear to God on my life and all who are precious to me, There is no hidden ulterior motive here. All I'm trying to do is tell you that the red pill, if you want to unplug, is in fact. And Alex Jones does not deal in fact. He doesn't. He just doesn't. I've heard him say shit on his show like, according to my research, and then he'll go on some long diatribe. What the fuck is your research, Alex Jones? You got a reference for me? Do you have something I can check? Do you understand what a control group is? Have you ever studied the scientific method? Do you understand what the great thinkers of the past, like Aristotle and Pythagoras, thought about how to think well? Socrates? None of that? It's not in your lexicon. Immanuel Kant, does he ring a bell? None of these people mean anything to you. Did you grow up in a cave? What is your reasoning for your stuff? And how sad it is that people follow you. I was embarrassed when he went on Piers Morgan, and I watch all of these shows. I watch a bunch of different news sources to keep an eye on him, if nothing else, like Fox News, which is a total fucking joke. They serve the right, they serve the extreme right wing. MSNBC serves the left. You start to see what fact is, and then you start to see what politics are, and you start to see who's pushing which. Well, when I saw Alex Jones go on Piers Morgan seems to be a decent reporter to me. I don't always agree with his personal views. And I don't think he should really be talking about things that are necessarily important to Americans as if he knows, because it's kind of like, you grew up in England, so you got to kind of live the life first before you understand what we're going through here. But that aside, I think he's a pretty good thinker, and he puts things out there that are controversial, but he makes sure to back up what he believes with evidence. When Alex Jones went on his show, there's a few critical things you need to look at. One, did Alex Jones let Piers Morgan present his evidence? No. It would have destroyed his argument. He couldn't do it. He had to talk over Piers. That's being an animal, folks. If you can't win the argument, you win through intimidation. I got a name for you. Bill O'Reilly. Happens all the time. Win through intimidation. Win through air domination. You'll see politicians do it in debates all the time, regardless of which side. The ones that are talking frantically, trying to steal airtime when reporters are saying, hold on, we got to give the other guy some time, hold on, and they're still talking, those people are scared. They're scared because they know if facts come up, they're going to get hurt. They've got to try to stop the facts from coming up. So what does Alex Jones do? He's been telling y'all all this stuff. Now he's on Piers Morgan. And what's he got to do? He's got to stand up to the test, doesn't he? How are you going to do it? Don't let Piers get any facts out there, or Alex Jones is going to look like a clown. Let's make Alex Jones scream the whole time, and then threaten Piers and try to scare him. I think Piers Morgan got in something like 31 words during that interview, a friend told me. I saw the interview, I just didn't count the words. What a shame, man. And what worried me about all that, if Alex Jones would have come on this show and said some dumb shit like, you need to put in a boxing ring so we can settle this, I would have said, why do we need a boxing ring? And I would have knocked his ass cold out. I'm a little different than Piers Morgan. I'm a little bit more of a wild man, but that's me. That's how I came up. But when it comes to information and knowledge, I still rely on fact. And when you rely on fact, you see how much of a clown and how much damage somebody like Alex Jones is doing. The weakest of minds will follow him. I cannot save the weakest, but I can save the ones that are on the fence. If you're on the fence and you're thinking, does this Alex Jones have something? I'm listening to a Kevin Kierstead to see, I want to hear both sides. Good God, man, please fall on my side, because I'm not telling you to think what I tell you. I'm telling you to think what the great minds of all time tell you. If you remember nothing from what I've told you, but you're thinking now, you're going, maybe I should employ these time-tested tactics of disseminating information, bullshit from reality. If you're going to do that, all you've got to do is get into the topical philosophy. You don't even have to get deep. Socrates, Aristotle, Pythagoras, all of the great thinkers that applied their thinking, and the philosophers that applied their thinking, and even the mathematicians. Well, Pythagoras was kind of both. He was a mathematician and a philosopher. But it used their thinking methods. And it's not tricky. It's not like a way to trick you into being a sheep, It's really quite mathematical. A plus B equals C. But it gets more complex than that. You use those techniques, somebody like Alex Jones becomes a fucking joke. He begins to look like a cartoon to you. And before, you might have actually thought he was somebody you could listen to. I can't blame you for that. I watched Fox News for 2 years after 9/11. I didn't know. I had to really, really get down into the studying to figure out who's bullshitting and who's not. So let's go ahead and continue with it here. I got to find this page I had up. I don't know where it went. I really, really need this page. So I'm going to be poking around at it. Get to that NASA page, please. Google NASA and climate change. You're going to come up on that first page. The incredible amount of evidence supporting that the trend of global warming now is unlike anything we've ever seen will knock your socks off. It'll kill any conspiracy theories you have if you're willing to employ the scientific thinking mind. That means prove it or it's not proven. That means don't just tell me, show me. That's all I'm asking you to do. Put your thinking cap on. Take a look at it. All right. Let's see. Global warming. And I'm going to use some special search terms here to try to bring up that page I had. That's NASA. Damn it, I don't see it. Wait, no, that's, well, this is a similar page, but I don't know if I like this one either, so I'll find it, don't worry, we're getting there. I really got to have this page up because I want you to look at it. Even if you believe that global warming is a conspiracy, I want you to try to survive through this page, and I want you to tell me what's wrong with it. Let's see, what do they call it? This denier, yeah. Global warming denier. Okay. Is this the one? No, that wouldn't be it either. God damn it, I can't find it. This pisses me off, so I'm going to have to probably rely on something else. It was a really nice organized site on how to handle the arguments from the skeptics without being in any way deceptive, using specific references to science. Yeah, this is a decent one here. This one here is from, they actually go into more detail than the other one, but I haven't looked at all the references yet, so I'm going to have to go on memory here on what's legit and what's not. Skeptical science, getting skeptical about global warming skepticism. Here's a summary of global warming and climate change myths sorted by recent popularity versus what science says. Click the response for a more detailed response. You can also view them sorted by taxonomy, popularity, print-friendly versions, short URLs, and fixed numbers you can use for permanent references. So you can print these out. You can bookmark them. You got the climate myth and then what the climate says. Now, good God, there must be 100 here. No, there's more than 100. There's 174. And then they just come out and prove that they're wrong. At least that's what they did on the other page. I'm assuming this one followed the same model. There are a couple that I'm specifically concerned about. One is climate has changed before. Well, here's what the science says. Everybody's telling you, well, it's a natural cycle. You know, the ice ages occurred 100,000 year cycle for the last 700,000 years. It is a common argument. It's important to know that there are a number of different forces acting on the Earth's climate. When the sun gets brighter, the planet receives more energy and warms. When volcanoes erupt, they emit particles into the atmosphere which reflect sunlight, and the planet cools. When there are more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, the planet warms. It's worth remembering that without some greenhouse gas, the Earth would be a ball of ice. So yes, some greenhouse gas helps us. We are a Goldilocks planet right now. These forces are called forcings because they force changes in the global average temperature. Looking at the past gives us insight into how our climate responds to such forcings. Using ice cores, for instance, we can work out past temperature changes. I've told you about that. Solar activity, amount of greenhouse gases, volcanic dust. It's all shown in the ice cores. Looking at many different periods and time scales, including many thousands of years ago, we've learned that when the Earth gains heat, glaciers and sea ice melt, resulting in positive feedbacks that amplify the warming. There are other positive feedbacks as well, and this is why the planet has experienced such dramatic changes in temperature in the past. In summary, the past reveals our climate is highly sensitive to small changes in heat. What does that mean for today? Over the past 150 years, greenhouse gas levels have increased 40%, mainly from burning of fossil fuels. That's arguable. I'm not trying to convince you of that, people. I'm just telling you that the warming is real. The additional forcing is warming the planet more than it has in thousands of years. And I would argue to say tens of thousands. From Earth's history, we know that positive feedbacks will amplify this additional warming. The Earth's climate has changed in the past, and ice cores and other measures tell us why. Based on this knowledge and other types of evidence, we know the human emissions of greenhouse gases are warming the climate. You can go and argue that. That's fine. There are all kinds of comments under there with references. Keep in mind when you've got somebody looking to lead you away from the truth and when you've got somebody trying to bring you to the truth, make sure the ones trying to bring you to the truth are referring to reputable sources, reputable studies, real facts when they talk to you, not an Alex Jones site, not a Fox News site. You know, you got to watch your references. It's part of our earlier series against Alex Jones. Let's see. There is no consensus. This is the one that kills me. It kills me. The scientists can't even agree. Really? Well, let me tell you what the fact is. 97% of scientists agree that humans are causing global warming. Even though they agree that, and I'm not trying to push that, they obviously agree, using deductive reasoning, that there is global warming. Okay? Science achieves a consensus when scientists stop arguing. When a question is first asked, like what would happen if we put a load more CO2 in the atmosphere, there may be many hypotheses about cause and effect. Over a period of time, each idea is tested and retested. This process of the scientific method, because all scientists know that reputation and kudos go to those who find the right answer. And everyone else becomes an irrelevant footnote in the history of science. It's true. All the scientists want their name to be remembered. It's kind of a natural human thing. So they're looking for the right answer. Nearly all hypotheses will fall by the wayside during this testing period because only one is going to answer the question properly without leaving all kinds of odd dangling bits that don't quite add up. Bad theories are usually rather untidy. That's true. But the testing period must come to an end. Gradually, the focus of investigation narrows down to those avenues that continue to make sense, that still add up. And quite often, a good theory will reveal additional answers or make powerful predictions that add substance to the theory. There is no vote. So a consensus in science is different than a political one. Scientists just give up arguing because the sheer weight of consistent evidence is too compelling, the tide too strong to swim against any longer. Scientists change their minds on the basis of the evidence, and a consensus emerges over time. This is all true. Tell me where this isn't true, and I'll hear you out. In the scientific field of climate studies, which is informed by many different disciplines, the consensus is demonstrated by the number of scientists who have stopped arguing about what is causing climate change, and that's nearly all of them. A survey of 928 peer-reviewed abstracts on the subject of global climate change published between 1993 and 2003 shows that not a single paper rejected the consensus position that global warming is man-caused. A follow-up study by the Skeptical Science team of over 12,000 peer-reviewed abstracts on the subjects of global warming and global climate change published between 1991 and 2011 found that the papers taking a position on the cause of global warming, over 97% agreed that humans are causing it. The scientific authors of the papers were also contacted and asked to rate their own papers. And again, over 97% whose papers took a position on the cause said humans are causing global warming. Again, I don't care so much that it's humans. All I care is that we do something about it and that we know it's happening. Stop believing in myths, man. Stop that shit. Good God. I'm seeing that most people who do not believe in global warming, they believe it's a hoax. Here's two things I'm seeing common with them. One, they did not get a proper scientific education. They don't understand the value. See, there's a group of people out there that aren't scientifically educated that think that those people that do get scientific education have somehow been programmed by liberal left-wingers or something. I don't know what they think. Sometimes they blame the right wing. It's crazy the enemy that they'll choose when they have not gained their own scientific education. Oh, they're just programming you, man. Well, science is a pretty mathematical motherfucking field. You know that? It's hard to argue with a lot of shit. If you had used all of the critical thinkers of the past, as we have consolidated today, go to criticalthinking.org if you want to get more on that. They're a beautiful website. They've got everything you need there to get your thinking right. Go there, and you'll learn that had we used today's model of critical thinking on somebody like Copernicus, we would have known right away he was right. Yeah, it wasn't a popularly held belief. People weren't looking at it real hard. Think about the price you had to pay back then for fucking around with a theory. There's no price today. You can come up with it and get people looking at it. There was a price then. So if people did doubt, they tended to be quiet about it and say, well, I must be wrong here in my research or something. Let me do it again. Next thing you know, they have a heart attack and they're not doing any research and it gets lost. Well, Copernicus said, no, I'm not having that. I'm going to stand up and say what I see here. Here's my science. It doesn't agree with mainstream theory, but here it is. Test it. Well, instead of testing it, what did they do? They just said, no, that's not the way we've been doing things around here, see? You got to go over and talk to Louis. Louis says that if the Earth is the center of the universe there, then it must be the fucking center of the universe. So stop fucking saying this shit here, talking about the sun being in the... Whoever heard of such a thing, man? The sun being the center of the solar system. Yeah, right. Oh, you kidding me? Good God, look at this. Listen to this kid, y'all. Yeah, oh my goodness. Yous guys. Yeah, well, that doesn't really work, because Copernicus said, I'm sorry, but the data do not lie. And here they are. And, well, once we got a good look at it, after he was persecuted for his beliefs, especially by the church, well, we started realizing he was right. And that was science. I want you to tell me one example, one single example of Alex Jones coming up with something scientific to argue against mass belief. And I'll give you time on that because you're going to need a shitload of it. And I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Thank you. Bad Ace is who you were listening to. Probably didn't sound good because, long story short, my audio software is messed up. I've got to fix it. I've got to go to the next level with this radio show because people are coming on board, and I'm sorry to disappoint you when it fails like that. We're going to fix it. I've been working tirelessly. I worked all day yesterday looking at software alternatives and hardware alternatives to get everything running the way I need it to run, and we're just not there yet. But I'm getting there. Stay with me, because the message is more important than the method in this case, and as long as you can hear it, it's going to help you. It's going to help you. I'm not going to go on much further here. We're going to talk about Edward Snowden after I close down on things like climate change. And how what he did was not be a hero. There are methods, there are channels you can take to blow the whistle on certain things, and his was the wrong method. His was the wrong path. So climate change, God, there's... The greatest scientists of our day are in agreement about this climate change. Now, they tend to agree that mankind has caused it. I don't know how that became the biggest part of the argument. It should not be. It should not be. What is the biggest part of the argument is those who believe it's happening and those who don't believe it's happening. Those who believe that it's happening as something more than a natural cycle, and those who don't. That's the biggest thing, because those that don't believe it's part of a natural cycle are doing something about it. They're taking it seriously. And it's kind of important that we do that. Like I said, get this September issue of Scientific American Mind and look specifically about what they say in there, if you trust them at all, and you should. They've kind of got a good reputation. Yeah, they tend to be respected by the scientific community. Get in there and look at that September issue of Scientific American Mind. It's like a daughter magazine of Scientific American. I've got both issues right here, the Scientific American and Scientific American Mind for September. And the Scientific American Mind one talks about how conspiracy theories are killing us. And they specifically talk about how the conspiracy theories on global warming are killing us. So we got to do something about it. I know it's convenient to believe it's a scam, but well, that kind of goes to the title of Al Gore's documentary, An Inconvenient Truth. People say, well, he bought a big mansion on the coast. If he were serious about it, he wouldn't have bought a big mansion on the coast, because he should be afraid that global warming will cause the sea levels to rise 20 feet if the ice shelf breaks off. I'm sure he is concerned about that. But how many presidents do you know that have been president in the United States, or vice president, any kind of leaders like that, that don't eventually say, well, if the ship's going down, I'm going down with it. I don't know if that's his reasoning, but I get the feeling it is. I get that feeling. That's just me. I don't know. So anyway, if you think he's running a scam, forget Al Gore, forget everything he said, and just go read the goddamn science, please. It would be nice. The conspiracy theorists will come in and they'll take modules of science, just what they call it cherry picking. They'll find these little tidbits that, if constructed in a perfect order, they could actually look to shed some doubt on this, and they put them together as if it were well-known, well-tested fact. And they get people like that because people in general don't want change. People definitely don't want to do anything different. People love to believe, that there's some great conspiracy against them and they can blame their problems on it. What a sad thing, What a really sad thing. It's a cop-out, really. Believing in all the conspiracy theories is a cop-out. It's you saying, I can't handle the difficult information in the world, so I'm going to go ahead and believe that somebody's out to get me. That'll make sense. Now I have somebody I can point the finger at. It's their fault. Don't be idiotic, man. Learn your goddamn science. Learn how to think. I'm going to download this show, and cut out that silent part and then re-upload it. So you may notice after this show, if you try to listen to it right away, that there may be a 10-minute period or so where it's not available. But I'll get it right back up there. So I'm going to lose my view count, but I don't care. Got to get it right. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and say that's it for climate change. Please read the reputable organization's research on climate change. Please go find scientists. You can find them, real ones, and ask them what they think about it and why. Okay? Let the people that have done the studying tell you why. Don't let people that want to get you thinking something different tell you why when they have no scientific experience. Unless they come with some heavy-duty fucking evidence. Alright, so we're good there. We're done with climate change. Let's see. Skeptical science is gone. Global warming. Edward Snowden. I'm going to read you some of this article. This is titled, Edward Snowden is no hero. And this is something I agree with this. This is in the Washington Post. Edward Snowden is no Socrates and no Martin Luther King. I'll explain these outlandish comparisons in a bit, but first, the confession that I was not erudite enough to come up with them myself. The insight comes courtesy of the Aspen Institute's Justice and Society seminar, where I've been spending several days pondering the Times' abstruse text and turn out to have surprising resonance with current events. Among them, how to think about whether Snowden was justified in leaking classified materials about U.S. surveillance programs and further justified in fleeing the country. This is a short article, so bear with me. King and Socrates, usually Plato channeling Socrates, helped convince me that the answer to both is no. As much as Snowden likes to cast himself along such heroic lines. To listen to Snowden, he acted in a noble tradition of civil disobedience by revealing what he asserts is illegal surveillance by the National Security Agency. I believe in the principle declared at Nuremberg in 1945. The former security contractor, who was employed for like 3 months there, from his Russian limbo last week. Individuals have international duties which transcend the national obligations of obedience. Therefore, individual citizens have the duty to violate domestic laws to prevent crimes against peace and humanity from occurring. This is what Edward Snowden thinks he's done, people. He thinks he has prevented crimes against peace and humanity from occurring. Okay? Now, was the NSA right in doing what they did with cell phone tapping and all that? Hell no, they weren't. Did they need to be, people probably need to go to jail for that. At the very least, the organization needs to take a major hit. However, what he did, his method of getting it out was all wrong. That's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. There are channels you try first. The first thing I'll tell you off the top of my head, you found something, you know it's not right, your heart tells you it's not right, but you're working right around it. Get that information, get the proof, give it to 3 independent sources, and tell them, if I come up missing, release this to the press. Okay? And make sure you can trust those sources. And don't let them see what the information is. Have it in a sealed container of some type. Leave that there. Now, next, you go and you start with your supervisor. Say, look, I noticed we're doing this. Is that legal? From what I'm seeing, that's not legal. Your supervisor's going to say one of two things. Well, you're right. It's not legal. Why don't you go talk to so-and-so? Or, it is legal. Don't worry about it. Then you know you can't go any further up the chain. He's already trying to stifle you. You're either going to have to go over his head or you're going to have to go to outside channels. But first you try the chain of command. Go up through, and you've already got yourself secured, so if you become a target, the information is getting to the press anyway. That's a good thing you've done. However, if you don't even try to go through traditional channels of fighting something legislatively through policy change, then all you're doing is trying to get attention for yourself. And that's what he's done. Great job, Snowden. Now, because of what else you leaked about the U.S. spying on others, we're in trouble. You have put 300 million Americans in jeopardy. And you think you're a fucking hero? All countries spy. The biggest country among them all is going to spy the most. That's part of how they got so big, and it's part of how they stay big. You just gave up to terrorists that want to see us dead a bunch of information on how the United States gathers its intel, so that now we have to spend in this hurting country all kinds of billions of dollars, who knows how much, maybe 100 billion, maybe $1 trillion, to re-evaluate and re-implement and retrain and repurchase and reconstruct our entire intelligence data gathering machine. Thank you. Thank you, Edward Snowden, because now our allies are mad at us. Oh, they're spying on us. But see, that's not public knowledge. If we could get that information, if every country had an Edward Snowden and came out, well, then it would all be out in the open, wouldn't it? I guess that would equate to some sort of reckoning, but that's not going to happen, is it, Edward? No, just the U.S. You just hung the U.S. out to dry. Good for you. Great for you. And we're paying a price. We're paying a price for it because you didn't try to do it the right way. You're not that bright, and you're not a hero. You're a dick. That's what you are. You're a dick. You're not a patriot. Don't ever confuse patriotism with somebody like Edward Snowden. So let's keep going here. He talks about all the great things he did. What a fucking... some of these people, just so goddamn arrogant. So we're going to continue to talk. King argued that he was justified in ignoring pleas to work. We're talking about Martin Luther King Jr. here, by the way. King argued that he was justified in ignoring pleas to work within a system that had proved itself ineffective to deal with segregation. Snowden simply chose to bypass the system. This is what I was just saying, and I haven't even read this article. I haven't read the whole thing, but I knew this guy agreed with me. I could tell by the bullet points. Snowden simply chose to bypass the system, risking national security and the assessment of intelligent officials without trying alternatives such as using the whistleblower statute. That's exactly what I was talking about. Or going to Congress. He could have gone to Congress. Congress would have butt-fucked the NSA. Okay? They would have gotten their punishment without the U.S. getting hung out to dry. Most vividly, unlike King, Snowden lacked the courage, and this is the one I agree with probably more than any other, to stick around and defend his actions. One who breaks an unjust law must do so with a willingness to accept the penalty, King wrote. I submit that an individual who breaks a law that conscience tells him is unjust, and who willingly accepts the penalty of imprisonment in order to arouse the conscience of the community over its injustice, is in reality expressing the very highest respect for law. That's what King said. I agree with Martin Luther King Jr., do you? If you do, you can't agree with Snowden. He's just a puss that fled. Going on. There is room for disagreement about whether Snowden's leaks were justified. I don't think so, says this reporter, although I acknowledge that his actions have sparked an important and overdue conversation about surveillance, and they have. But Snowden's justifications for fleeing are unconvincing. Yeah, so this is a short article, so I'm going to keep going here because we're almost done. So let's go. It's about... I have been made stateless and hounded for my act of political expression, he declared from the Moscow airport. That's not true. Snowden's hounding stems from his deliberate decision to violate the criminal law. In the United States, he was free to express any political view, certainly freer than he would be in countries such as Russia, Venezuela, or Ecuador. Snowden asserts that his flight was justified by the harsh treatment of another leaker, former Army intelligence analyst Bradley Manning. Snowden claims that surrendering could expose him to torture or even assassination by the U.S. government. That's not justice, and it would be foolish to volunteer yourself to it if you can do more good outside of prison than in it, Snowden said in a web chat with the Guardian newspaper. That is not the Socratic method, and it isn't. In 399 BC, an Athenian jury convicted the philosopher of impiety and of corrupting the city's youth, and sentenced him to death. As related by Plato, Socrates' friend Crito visits him in prison and urges Socrates to escape. Socrates refuses. Even though the conviction is unjust, he argues, it would be wrong. Having benefited from living under the laws of Athens and having agreed to abide by the jury's judgment, to now seek to evade his punishment. Socrates imagines the law as if it were an actual character, chiding him. Quote, "You are behaving like the lowest type of menial, trying to run away in spite of the contracts and undertakings by which you agreed to live as a member of our state," unquote. So Socrates remains and drinks the prescribed hemlock, which makes Socrates a great philosopher and Snowden the lowest type of menial. And it does. And this guy's right again. This is in the Washington Post, titled "Edward Snowden is No Hero" by Ruth Marcus, and I agree with it wholeheartedly, out of Aspen, Colorado. I agree with it wholeheartedly. Edward Snowden is a little punk-ass bitch who wanted attention. He got it. He'll get his name from it. But as time goes by, he's going to be seen for what he was. He's going to be seen for what he was. He's not necessarily being seen by that right now. But when you see what he's done to the U.S. and how bad he's hurt us economically and with our reputation around the world, you're going to see. You're going to see there were proper channels to go about getting this stuff changed if he didn't like it. Every American has that right to do this. And, yeah, he just was a puss. He was a puss. Didn't want to fight like a man. Wanted to hit and run. He's hurt you. If you're an American listening to this, let me assure you that Edward Snowden has directly hurt you. And you're going to feel it now or you're going to feel it later. But you're going to feel it. And that's going to do it for this show. Like I told you before, I'm going to have to download this show and fix a moment of silence in there, so it's not going to be available from about 10 minutes from now till about 20 minutes from now, just for those of you listening that we're going to maybe download it or grab a copy because of the silence in there. So anyway, that's it. You've been listening to Truth on Tap, your host, Kevin Kierstead, and we are on every Friday at least at 10 p.m., thereabouts, Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to follow along, get on the Facebook page, facebook.com/TruthOnTapShow. That's where kind of the brain of my operation, where I announce all changes and whatnot. Facebook.com/TruthOnTapShow. Or you can follow the show directly through Spreaker, Spreaker.com/user/TruthOnTap. That's it for tonight's program.